Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Thursday. I hope it finds you well out there. We got college football, right? Thursday night games. Pretty much most of the teams will be playing this weekend. The following weekend, the NFL regular season gets underway. Monday is the holiday, so we will be off on Monday. But don't worry. If you go out to allamericangold.com, you can hit the shopping cart button and shop 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Here's the good news. I'll put something up there this weekend. So go out to allamericangold.com, hit the shopping cart button. We're going to heat something, probably more than something, probably a couple of different things. We'll heat it up and make it very, very attractive. Of course, if you want to do business personally, if you're new, call us, ask questions. Listen, we're not like anybody else out there. We don't call you. We don't have a phone bank. We don't have commissioned salesmen. We're not going to bother you. If you call just because you want to ask some questions, you're never going to hear back from us unless you call us again. That's just kind of how we operate. And again, that number, 800-951-0592. For those of you who've never ordered before, I will tell you this. Buy the specials. That's what we want you to buy. Why? Because they're the best deals that we have. And today is no exception. We're going to have another great opportunity for all of you out there. It looks like we're going to see another record high gold close again today. We'll see. It's not over. We've got Wall Street rallying. Remember yesterday we told you it's all about NVIDIA. It was okay. I mean, it was really good, but it wasn't perfect, but close enough, I think, that Wall Street was like, okay, dodged a bullet on that one. NVIDIA sales were up 116%. That sounds fantastic. And it would be, except that's down from 200%. So we're kind of seeing, the last squeezes in this. And then, of course, they lowered, they're forecasting less sales than what Wall Street was hoping, but all in all, not horrible. It's Thursday. We had jobless claims. Now, remember, this whole rate cut is, it's about the jobs. 231,000. Last week it was 232,000. So, yeah, it's higher than the 210. Remember, gosh, earlier this year I was just saying, well, it's going to be 210 every week. Well, now it seems like it's going to be like 230, 235 every week. I don't know that that's accurate or not. I don't know. I truly don't. Continuing claims continues to be a problem where, well, if you are being fired, you're having a harder time finding work, but it doesn't add up. The dog doesn't hunt. Right, we should be seeing something, 250, 260, 270. I mean, 300, not 230, not 230. And then second quarter GDP. This has the whole, everybody's starting to get nervous about the numbers coming out of the government and how accurate are they? Can they be trusted? It was already a big number, 2.8. Remember when it first came out, 2.8%. They've revised it to 3%. I told Jason this morning when I was talking to Jason on before the show, 3% GDP. I've never, ever have heard, hey, we need to cut rates at 3% GDP. If you didn't know the time, Forget about the date. Forget about everything. And I sat there and I told you jobless claims were averaging 235,000 a week. GDP was 3%. And according to the number, driven by the consumer, by the way, I'm just telling you what they're saying. You would be like, oh my gosh, they're probably going to be raising rates. But that's what a normal person would say. And now they're cutting rates. And by the way, they're lying to us more than just GDP. Anybody that believes inflation is at 3% really doesn't know what's happening out there. AllAmericanGold.com today, we're talking about car insurance. I don't know about anybody else. My car insurance went up like 25% last year. Guess what now? Okay, so you're like, all right, well, I'm going to eat that one. Homeowners insurance. I don't even know. I think it went up 30%. Something, it was ridiculous. But you're like, okay, that's all at once. It's going to slow down, right? The insurance companies, they were losing and they accounted for it. According to Insurify, they're saying get ready for another year of massive increases in some states of up to 50%. Yeah, how much trouble are the insurance companies? You know, remember AIG and the financial crisis? We'll be back. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason here on this Thursday. The year of chaos. This is chaos. I mean, this GDP revision, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Jobless claims, I don't know what to say. I think people in Wall Street are even like, man, right? Think about, in this is what we said was going to happen. Right? This is why, Jason, I said, listen, this is going to be the year of chaos. Nothing's going to make sense this year. You got to prepare for what's coming next year. And the year after, and after that, and after that. Incredible change is coming, and not in a good way. Not in a good way. You know, we live in boom and bust. We know that. Debts are a problem. De-dollarization's a problem. War is a problem. Right? Inflation, I don't know what these morons are doing. It's a problem. It really is a problem. Okay. Food prices are going up a little less. Oh, okay. Well, God, thanks. Right? That still means they're going up. That means they're getting more expensive. Oh, maybe gas. Okay, gas is about where it was. Right now, everybody out there, $3.49 for a gallon of gas, and I'm just like, oh, that's not that bad. Now, Colorado, I know you guys get a little cheaper. I really don't like that. But you do. But you better be ready. You know, Jason, we've been talking about Warren Buffett dumping. All the big guys are dumping right now. And I don't know. Yeah. Jason brought up a really good point. Right, Jason? Are they dumping ahead? Do they think Kamala's going to win? And they're dumping ahead of the unrealized tax thing. You know, Nancy Pelosi, she thinks that they're going to control both parts of the House and the Senate. That's what she thinks. She was bringing up, oh, remember the last time they said, oh, my God, we're going to lose all these seats. They don't know what they're talking about. We're going to control everything. And that's a great assumption. I think, I'm telling you, hey, they're selling to get ready because they already know what's coming. The crash is coming. Maybe they're selling for more than one reason. I guess if you want Wall Street to lose, 60, 70, 80% of its value, Jason, go with this plan. I mean, that seems crazy.
Can you imagine if during Jimmy Carter's term, you put a major war inside that term? What would have happened then? Right, Joe, that out of control inflation that he was president during, he was the back end of it. If Kamala Harris were to win, the amount of economic chaos that would unravel and the war drums, which are beating harder and harder than ever before, is a complete and total disaster. I mean, I get why people want to vote the other way, because they feel it's going to be a little easier, a little safer, a little better, which economically that could be true. But Joe, I mean, the amount of military being shipped to the Middle East right now, I don't know if you've seen all the stuff that they're pushing. It takes a while to get a full-on war machine moved into another part of the world and get it set up for a conflict, but that's what it looks like is happening. It looks like Israel's going to start a war, and then America's going to push all the machines and all the munitions to fight this thing. And Joe, when you're talking about the billionaires pulling their money out, they're either pulling their money out because they're worried about who's going to win, and they don't want to pay unrealized gains, because that's something that they're pushing. Or if Trump wins, it doesn't matter. There's still going to be a huge recession, because every time the Fed lowers rates, you run into a huge recession. And we've talked about for years now, before COVID rolled in, that the Fed's in this situation now after they printed the money in 2020, where you lower the rates to try to save the markets, and the inflation blows up. You keep the rates higher, stop the inflation, and you have complete, utter destruction of the country. So I think the reason we're not seeing things that we would normally predict as happening is because they're walking that fine line, and I don't think there's a play here, right, Joe? So that's why I keep saying that whoever wins this election, they're going to spend a lot of money next year. They have to. Everybody, all the pups need to suckle, right, Joe? They all need to get their feeding, right? That doesn't matter who wins. That's going to happen. And that spending next year is going to just blow the inflation up, especially when the Fed's going to lower rates, 3 times maybe? So no, it's a bad situation. And Joe, I didn't get a chance to talk, because asked Joe about his insurance. I had a phone call with my insurance company, and they handle my car and my home. And it's insane what is happening. Last year I was on the air and I told you guys, oh, look how much it went up. I was talking about my homeowner's policy. It was $1,500, and then it just jumped last year to $2,500, and that's a pretty big jump, right? And I knew with the inflation, everything was going on. It's an acceptable situation. It's understandable. But while I was talking to my insurance agent, and we're talking about, Jack is still on our insurance, we're going to move him off. This is one of the discussions we're having. And I was like, okay, remember the discussion we had about the homeowners? Because she was talking about, this is a broker. She can give me different companies. I was like, did you find me a new company? How's that going to go? And she's like, oh, they already posted your new policy. You're probably going to get in the mail here soon. She's like, well, it's going to be $4,500, $4,478, $2,000 jump. And I was asking Joe, because Joe just got a house, so he hasn't seen the next year yet. But I want him to get the number so that when it happens, he can compare it, because I want to know if this is an aberration. And the people I'm talking to, this is not an aberration. In fact, my car insurance, listen to this, Joe, I didn't get a chance to tell you this. My car insurance, I got a notification last week saying, good news, your rates are going down. And I was like, okay, well, I've had those before, over the years. When I was talking to my insurance agent, she's like, I don't know what you did, but you are an exception to the rule. Everybody's car insurance is going up. I don't know. And I have a feeling it has to do with my credit score, because I did some creative financing at the beginning of the year, and I've since changed position. And I think my credit score went down a little bit and then came back up. And I have a feeling somehow the car insurance, sometimes they heavily rate you with your credit score. And I'm thinking that's the only thing, Joe. That's the only reason. And Jack is getting older, and so his impact is a little less. But she said everybody's car insurance is going up. She couldn't even believe that I even got the notice that my rates went down. I was like, that just isn't happening to anybody, nobody. And the homeowner's insurance is she just rambled it off like it's kind of typical, like this is business as usual. And I'm worried now about next year, Joe. Here's the thing: what's going to happen next year? Am I getting another $2,000? Because as Joe and I were talking, it's like, look, 2 years ago it was $1,500. This year, I'm paying $2,000 more than the previous year. I'm paying more this year than the entirety of the policy 2 years ago. And a house isn't much different, Joe. It's not much different in 2 years.
Yeah, and that's you start thinking, gosh, I was paying a little over $100 a month. Not even 3 years ago. Now it's $375 a month.
Yeah, $375.
I mean,
yep.
Right? $375 a month. Hey, that's $275 a month less. Right? And like you said, no one's paying less for car insurance. I mean, look, we'll look at the markets here today. The Dow's up 250. It's down like 200 yesterday. The S&P's up 35. The Nasdaq's 170. The 10-year note 388. By the way, it wasn't a brutal auction yesterday. It wasn't very good. Big tail on a 5-year note auction. Crude oil now up $1.83 because the Libya thing is real. So they apparently now they're starting to pay attention to what's happening there in Libya. Gold right now up $17, $2,522. Silver up 40 cents here, $29.50. But we keep telling you, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Having your money in a money market account, your bank account, having way too much money in your IRAs is going to be a mistake. It just is. Check out our friends over at YRefi. Up to 10.25% fixed rate of return. I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to be a big deal over the next 5 years. It really is. Probably over the next 10. Are we going to see these returns again? I don't think so. I think we're getting ready for a big bust cycle and then a lot of tough years after that. Be more diversified than ever. These guys aren't correlated to Wall Street. They don't care what Wall Street does. They don't care about interest rates. They don't care about inflation. They don't care about homeowners insurance. Check them out. Got to have at least $50,000. You guys know that. Invest. YRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com. Or just call them at 888-YRefi-24. Why? Because nobody can believe these numbers. Second quarter GDP, according to the government. Now, this is revised. So they've actually gotten some more data, allegedly. They said personal consumption. First print, 2.3. Okay, that was when they said it was 2.8%. And everyone laughed at that. Now they're saying, it wasn't 2. It was 2.9%. And Jason, it's amazing how many retailers are shutting their doors. I told you about Big Lots shut 350 stores. Now they're like, we may be done. We may have to liquidate. Cons liquidating. Lumber liquid. Remember lumber liquidators? They've had to liquidate. Dollar General today down the largest amount in their history after saying the consumer is completely wiped out. But yet the government said, Jason, the consumer is spending. So one of two things is happening here. They have to really be lying about inflation. So, yeah, the consumer, maybe they are. You know what they're spending it on? Car insurance, home insurance, grocery prices. Some stunning number about the amount of people that had to put back to school on their credit cards because back to school costs a small fortune now, right? And, Jason, there's no money left over.
I think there's savvier consumers out there, too, Joe, and if they feel like the ship is sinking, load up as big as you can on credit and then just let the whole thing go, right? If you could refinance your house and you're going to walk on it, if you can load up an extra couple credit cards. Joe, we had a discussion about people that I know that have abysmal credit. I mean, the types of people that you would never loan money to, a bank would never loan money to, and they're trying to get these people into a home. It's the housing thing all over again. They're giving out loans, low interest loans, by the way. These these variable rates where they start with a low rate and then blow up on you. They're doing all of this again. So I have a feeling everyone's loading up. Maybe this GDP and you're seeing the spending, the consumer numbers still up, Joe, because they're just simply loading up. Because here's the thing: if you're going to declare bankruptcy, do you want to do it on $50,000 of what you owe, or how about $150,000? You might as well get your extra $100,000 or $50,000 worth of stuff, right, before you just let it go, right? I mean, I think the consumer is a lot smarter than 2008, 2007. I think there's a lot less worry about actually paying the bills. I think people have heard all of the, hey, why don't you just walk on it? So why don't you get all the credit cards you can get? Get all those shopper cards. Here's the thing. If MasterCard, Visa doesn't want to give you a card, well, the big name brand stores might just give you a card, and they're selling all kinds of stuff in there, right, Joe? And load it up. You can go to Kohl's, and you can go to
walk away.
I think that's what's happened. That's what I think. Most people, these younger people that weren't around and paying bills in 2008, they don't even know cash. Everything's a card, right? So they're going around loading up on cards. Well, I can't pay Kohl's anymore. I'll stop paying that, but I'll go to the next store and I'll load up over there. It might take a while for this thing to crash. Maybe this is why it's so slow, Joe. Because people know, load it up and then let it go.
Patriot Radio News Hour. When we get back, another huge special. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason here on this Thursday. Gold once again poised to close at a new all-time record high. Today's special, and it is a good one. Mint State $62 $20 St. Gaudens. So normally we love pre-33 gold. You guys know that. The Saints, right? Technically 1907 to 1933. The Saints, that was the new design. Teddy Roosevelt said that the liberties, they weren't majestic enough because the United States was now the superpower. Yeah, kind of funny. We became a superpower on the gold standard. And now we're going to fall from that power on the fiat money system that replaced it. Why? Because they wanted to spend debt. They wanted to go into debt. That was why. Why did they hate gold? Oh, well, gold doesn't work. Why? Well, because the government needs to be able to go into debt during the tough times. Of course, for a little while, when the times were good, they would actually run some budget surpluses. When was the last real budget? A real budget surplus. We've never had one since Richard Nixon closed the gold window in 1971. It hasn't happened. Most people don't realize after World War II, from World War II to 1971, the end of World War II to 1971, we ran as many budget surpluses as a federal government as we did budget deficits. It's true. It's true. Matter of fact, if you took away World War I and World War II spending, we probably would have had a deficit in 1971 of maybe $100 billion instead of $400 billion. Think about that. We've had months where we've gone $400 billion into debt now. It took, 200 years to get $400 billion in debt? We do that in a month. Mint State, $62, $20. And right now, a $20 gold piece, $2,750. It's a great price. Especially, you got gold, $2,525. Mint State, 62 Saints. 1 through 19, $2,735. So that's $15 less than an ungraded one. If you buy 20 or more, $27.25, save $25. Now, what's the difference between an ungraded one and a graded one? Well, the ungraded one, it's going to be loose. You just hold it in your hand. You can touch it and all this. The graded ones, PCGS or NGC, said, hey, wait a minute. This particular coin, it didn't get used. It's what they called uncirculated. And then they put it under a magnifying glass and started looking at it and said, wow, this thing doesn't have nearly the amount of coin marks. And remember when they made these things, they put them in the big burlap sacks. There'd be 1,000 $20 cents in one of these sacks. And let's face it, the automobile really barely was existing at the time. Right? This thing was going around in stagecoaches, bouncing around and going on boats and all that stuff. But these were considered to be a much higher quality condition coin. And they come in a hard plastic case. You can still see it, both sides, heads and tails, but it tells you the grade and all of that so you don't damage it and it didn't get cleaned up or anything like that. Jason, great value, graded coins for less than circulated coins today. Mint State, $62, $20 cents, so you get all the same thing. Buy it, sell it, trade it, no 1099s, private. And you pay less and actually have something when you sell it back. It's worth more. It's worth more when you sell it back. So you win on both sides here today. 1 through 19, 2,735. 20 or more, 2,725. But outside of this ridiculous GDP number, outside of the fact what's going on with these insurance companies, it's starting to get concerning. It really is. Remember, people forget about AIG. Remember AIG when they went under? That really was kind of the whole culmination of, oh my gosh, everything's in a tailspin here. How bad are the insurance companies? How bad a shape are they really in? And then we had pending home sales come out today. It was supposed to actually be up a little bit. Rates have been coming down. Down 5.5%. A huge miss year over year, which last year was a terrible year for home sales, was also worse than expected. And a sales recovery, essentially, Jason, it just didn't happen. And, when you think about it, I'm wondering how many people are like, oh, yeah, hey, rates are down, let me go look. And then all of a sudden, the increase in what it costs for homeowners insurance, it may even offset. Yeah, well, the rate went down a little bit. Your principal payment's a little lower. Oh, but wait, you need to have homeowners insurance. Oh, yeah. It's the same or who knows, even higher. You never know.
And then home prices went up on top of that.
Yeah.
And then the home prices went up because there's this thing called inflation. The last segment we were talking about people and situations and how, and how this, if you can connect some dots from the consumer, that's, how are they still spending, right? And I just said, well, how about loading up on more shopper cards? Just more debt. If you're going to go, let it go big, right? Well, if you follow that, I can actually make the case that I think the Christmas season will be a record Christmas season. It makes no sense. It shouldn't happen, right, Joe? But think about this. The credit card company offers me a $400 credit card limit. It's like, to me, I don't need it. I was like, I don't need that. If I'm going to get a credit card for just in case, I want like a $10,000 limit or an $8,000 limit, something big, something substantial. But somebody who's barely making ends meet, that $400 credit card, they're going to scoop that up, right, Joe? Well, what if it's a shopper card from Kohl's, we'll say? Why would Kohl's give this guy, who looks like he's loaded up everywhere else, $400? Well, Kohl's has some problems, too. They're not selling stuff. They don't want to be holding all this merchandise at the end of this year and then pay taxes on it. So unload it and give the credit out to people who don't deserve it and have a record Christmas sales season, Joe.
800-951-0592, the Mint State 62, $20 St. Gaudens. Almost $100 at on sale 1 through 19, $27.35. Regular price $2,827. So you're saving almost $100, but $92. Buy 20 or more, save over $100 on a Mint State 62, $20 St. Gaudens, $2,725. That's less than an ungraded 20 today at 800-951-0592. Right now, gold's up, almost $20 again here, 25, 24, approaching not only a record high close, the record high intraday, 25.32. Look for that. And people are saying, hey, listen, gold had two other big runs. It's a pretty big run. Gold's up $500-600 in the last year or so. The 70s, the run of the 70s. Of course, remember what was going on? Massive inflation. Idiotic central bank policy. Then Paul Volcker comes in and crushes, and they pulled the Social Security trick. That really is what did it. Let's not lie. The government was able to start spending, almost $1 trillion+ more than they were before, and somehow act like it wasn't being added to the budget deficit. Brilliant. But that was massive inflation. Then you look at the financial crisis, right? Gold ran all the way, almost $1,900. Remember, it went back to 2054. Of course, that was in the middle of the financial crisis. What crisis is it today? There's no financial crisis going on. I mean, inflation, they say it's fixed. We got 3% GDP, right? Jobless claims are only 2. I mean, everybody and their mother says they're laying people off, but apparently jobless claims aren't going anywhere. Jason, there's no big emergency yet. And we're seeing this historic move in gold. And this is why everybody's saying, listen, this isn't the gold move of the 70s. This isn't the gold move of the financial crisis. This is really the ultimate move. Remember, you said it yesterday. Doesn't matter, dollar higher, dollar lower, rates higher, right, rates lower. Gold just goes up. There's no emergency leading the rally. And the emergency, what people don't realize, the emergency is the house of cards that this fiat monetary system's getting ready to end.
I would say that if we're going to call this next crash something, maybe we should call it the Band-Aid crash, because when gold rose here, it's a big sore spot for gold buyers and people that are wanting to buy into gold. When they see that 1900 and then it comes way back and it just doesn't come back for a long time. But if honest information was being given out when this crash was happening, gold would not have gone down so much. It would have stayed at 1900. It might have dipped for a while and came back up. What's the difference? Why is gold at 2,500? This is the housing crash of 2008. They just banned it. It's $29 trillion spending spree, which didn't go into the public. It's different than COVID. COVID, the money went right into the system. Everybody is spending. The inflation hit hard, and we went right back to where we would have been in 2008, 2009 if they didn't secretly save countries and banks and insurance companies and everybody with $29 trillion. I mean, we gave $3 trillion to Japan. Japan got $3 trillion in 2010 to save them. Because it's hard to remember, but 2010, things weren't fixed. things were still going bad. I think there was more banks closing in 2010 than closed in 2008. And
by far, by a large margin.
So what happened was they put a big Band-Aid over it. The Obama years, which went sideways, we never had any growth, was just to calm down the emergency, which is now here. So gold 1900 in 2011, we're there. The Band-Aid has been pulled off, and look, we're suddenly at $2,500 gold. Yeah, it sucks if you bought it in 2011, and if you're thinking, okay, well, if it happened then, it's going to happen again. Well, I don't see the secret $29 trillion or 100. It's going to have to be $100 trillion of secret spending. Now they're just spending it out loud, Joe. And I don't know if they, with the debt levels and everything that's going on, I don't know if they can do it secretly now. I don't think there's anything they can do to quiet it. What's getting ready to happen, Joe? I think what's going to happen is going to be very obnoxiously loud, and so gold will just keep going. No more. They can't pull that game again. I don't think it's possible to pull that $29 trillion game, Joe, and try to quiet everything. I don't think bailouts are. It's going to be bail-ins, as you've said for years.
Yeah, and that's how they set it up. They got really smart. I think they were either naive, maybe a little arrogant, thought that they were the smartest guys in the room. And when it all crashed down the last time, all as they did, like Jason said, they printed a ton of money. Most of it, they didn't even admit that they did. And then on top of that, redid the rule book to make sure that, hey, when it really happens for real the next time, we're just going to make sure the consumer, the depositor, is the one that has to pay for it, not us. Because, like Jason said, we won't get away with it twice. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. Final segment here on this Thursday. 800-951-0592. Another just incredible opportunity offered today. Mint State, $60 to $20 St. Gaudens. You're saving between $95 and $100 a coin, 1 through 19. $2,735. Today at $20, a regular $20 Saints, $2,750. We got gold at an all-time high.
Yep.
20 or more. $2,725 at 800-951-0592. And normally, 62, it runs about $100 more.
Yep.
Right? That's
great
kind
coin.
of the average, right? It's a great coin. And now you're going to actually get it for less. It's just a great opportunity here. And we started out with a couple hundred of them. So, Jason, we've got a good amount.
And gold is not going down. I'm going to keep saying this for a while. I keep telling people that gold is a leading indicator. And it is. We had gold earlier this year go from 2,000 to 2,350, kind of settled in that 2,350 range, right? In 2009, we saw the record gold prices of 1,900, and it came down, and it scares people. Oh, it's going to do that again. How do you know? I know, because when I bought my house in 2004, and then the economic crisis happened, my homeowner's insurance stayed $1,000 through the whole thing. It might have gone up to $1,100. When I bought my bigger, nicer house in 2020, I was paying $1,500 for homeowner's insurance. And in the last 2 years, after gold is taken off, $2,500 last year, and now $4,500 this year. No, see, the big Band-Aid happened, and they calmed it down, and gold was overbought. You could say it was overbought. Well, everything was overbought because the Fed sprinkled trillions of dollars all over the world. So all their rich buddies could take advantage over the last 10 years of 0% interest rates and put themselves in a monolithic state of richness. We have billionaire oligarchs all over the world that took advantage. And now I have $4,500 for homeowners insurance, Joe. 2 years after it was $1,500. That didn't happen when gold crashed and came down back in 2009. Gold's not coming down. You guys got to stop watching whatever you're watching, thinking that gold's got some big pullback coming in, because
it's not.
You guys are you're going to be looking at $5,000 gold and say, "Man, I wish I would have listened to Jason Joe at $2,500." That's what you're going to be saying.
California car insurance rates going up 54%. That's what it's going to happen. That's what's coming, right? Insurance is through the roof. Food prices are still going up. Okay, so it's a little less right now, because they didn't slaughter as many chickens this year as they did last year, right? What are we talking about here? Yesterday, I just told you, home prices are still at a record high. Sales are so bad, right? You're talking about sales, we're approaching like 1990, maybe even 1980 levels. We got 100+ more people in the country, and yet we're selling homes, so few. It's bizarre. Why? They didn't fix anything. They know they haven't fixed anything. And now they've got to cut rates again to try to save their banking system. It's not going to work. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour wrapping up another Thursday.